Hi, I'm Summer Tothill and I'm a feminist influencer, educator and writer. And every week on my Instagram, I run a Q&A with my followers. They ask me their questions about how gender equality and oppression is affecting them in their world, and I answer. What you're about to watch or listen to is a compilation of 1 week's worth of those questions and answers. If you join me on Instagram every week, you can take part in the Q&A, ask your own questions, get your answers, get involved. Why do my female friends support Russell Brand, who has been accused of sexual assault? Lots of you asked about Russell Brand. Specifically, quite a few of you asked why women were supporting him, either women you know or women you are seeing in public coming out saying that they believe him. They do not believe that he has committed sexual assault. Why do women do this? Why do women do this even when they themselves might have been victims of sexual assault at some point? I think there are two reasons. One is that our dominant culture is patriarchal, misogynistic, and sets us up not to believe women's experiences and makes sure that they are discredited when they describe their own experiences, so that no matter what men do to us, they will get away with it. The second is that patriarchy teaches men to bond and form power alliances with each other while actively discrediting and undermining women, so that we are discouraged from allying with one another. And it forces us to then support and ally with men and support the patriarchy if we're going to have any power. It's also a protection racket, because if we don't support them, they won't protect us. But newsflash, they don't protect us in any way. But as I often say to women, making yourself an ally to the patriarchy will not make the patriarchy an ally to you. So these women who are supporting Russell Brand now and refusing to believe his victims may find themselves in future having to accuse some other man of something he has done to them, and they will find themselves not believed because of the culture that they helped to prop up, where we think that false accusations of rape and sexual assault are common and that women do this for fame and money and attention. The reality is, false accusations of sexual assault are vanishingly rare. They are so rare as to be almost non-existent. Men are statistically more likely to be sexually assaulted than to be falsely accused of sexual assault. So tell your friends, if a man is accused of sexual assault, there is an astronomically high likelihood that he did commit it. There is also a very, very low likelihood that he will ever face any serious or legal consequences. Is everyone else at odds with the traditional work week, or is it just me as a working parent? I'm going to let you in on a little secret that isn't really a secret, and that is that everybody hates the traditional work week, including me. But nobody has more reason to hate it and to be hard done by it than working parents, especially working mothers, and disabled people and chronically ill people. The traditional working week is a really old-fashioned concept. It started around the Industrial Revolution, when you would have low-paid working class people working in things like factories, long hours every single day or 6 days a week so they could go to church on Sunday. It also is predicated on the idea that a wife will be at home taking care of the house, and the person working in the household would be the husband and or the children who were old enough to work. Our current society is still not set up to facilitate a primary caring parent who also works, nor is it set up to facilitate people with physical needs who can't work full time. Now, I am one of those people with those physical needs. I have shared a couple of times before, I have scoliosis. It is a spinal condition that will never get better and is likely to only get worse. In my case, it causes me chronic pain, constant pain. I am in some level of pain every single second, every minute, every hour of the day. I am in pain right now while I'm talking to you. Anytime you've ever watched me in a reel or a video, I have been in pain. That makes it difficult to work, because it is exacerbated by things like the postures required of working at a desk and at a computer, and that repetitive movement, that sedentary nature of that work. But I can't do anything about that, because we have to work full time to be able to afford to live. And I work for a charity, so in my case, my salary is super low against these types of jobs in the market. It's super low against the fact that I have 20 years experience, and as a result, I wouldn't be able to drop to part-time because I am a solo income household and I could not afford to earn any less money than I currently earn. You may not have any of these considerations yourself, but I'm mentioning all this because very few parents, particularly mothers, are facilitated to do their best within the concept of the modern full-time working week, and to some extent even in the part-time working week, particularly if you're expected to physically be somewhere at a specific time and there's no flexibility around that, when actually there could be. And even in jobs where there is no flexibility, such as, let's say you're a nurse, you have to be there in person. But I've had a lot of working nurses who are mothers DM me to say that there is no reason why nursing shifts should start at the time they start in the morning, when most people who are nurses can't manage that time and also manage school drop-off or kindy drop-off. It is a deeply impractical time that we have just universally set up as the time that a nursing shift starts. I think it's like 7 or 8 in the morning. So despite being mostly women, the nursing industry doesn't cater to mothers. So why is it like this, and what can we do about it? Well, the reason it's like this is because the concept of paid work was set up by men for men and was intended to be executed only by men. Eventually, women climbed out of our cages and started demanding the independence of paid work, but of course, very few societal structures have actually caught up with what it means to be a working person who can also be pregnant, give birth, and who is expected to become a primary carer. That is why you are burnt out. But remember when I said that in the Industrial Revolution, people used to work really long hours and 6 days a week? And think about how now the standard working day is about 8 hours. We're supposed to only do it about 5 days a week, and we should be getting lunch breaks, and we have all sorts of other things like sick leave, carers leave, and annual leave. All of those things were achieved through unions, union action, collective bargaining, strikes, reforms to the workplace to keep up with the way that people actually live, and to acknowledge the fact that the workplace is staffed by humans. My colleague is excited for a friend who has met a recently separated man with 2 tiny kids. I just cannot be excited for this. I really feel your concern here. I've made several pieces of content over the years about how we should avoid dating men who are very newly single, especially if they have children, especially if those children are very young. I totally understand your skepticism and how you feel this probably raises some red flags for your friend, and you're really not sharing in her excitement. I am not excited for her either. I think this is bad, and I think this speaks poorly of that man. But as we know, people in relationships don't like to receive negative feedback from the outside on those relationships, particularly if they are romantic relationships. People like to stay in their excited little bubble and believe that everything's going to be okay. So instead of telling your friend what you think about this, you could try asking some really strategic little questions of her that should hopefully just get her thinking down a path that makes her reconsider why it is that she likes this guy. Basically, we're going to incept her. Do you think any man's ex is crazy? Because I'm not crazy and you're not crazy and none of our girlfriends is crazy. In fact, do you think it's possible that all those times we heard men call their exes crazy, they were just trying to avoid accountability for the things that they did wrong to upset her? How long do you think a person should wait between getting out of one long-term relationship and getting into a new one? Do you think a single dad with kids should require his new girlfriend to do any parental labor whatsoever? Or do you think he should learn how to 100% take care of his kids? Do you think anybody with young children ends their relationship without something truly awful going on in that relationship, without behavior from their partner that makes their life absolutely unlivable? If your most recent ex had gotten a new girlfriend within like a month of you guys breaking up, do you think that you would have faith that he had learned things from the reasons you broke up? Or would you suspect that he was just trying to outsource labor to yet another woman who he doesn't actually care about as a person? I'm frustrated by finding a feminist therapist who doesn't say not all men. Why is this so hard? If you are an oppressed minority, as all women are, it is really important to find a therapist who can understand your lived experience and who themselves has lived experience of being an oppressed minority. If someone's going to therapize you properly, it is really important for them to understand not just your individual situation, but to be able to intelligently deconstruct and analyze the way that the systems and structures of oppression that guide your life and your personal relationships are at play in what's going on with you. A therapist who doesn't understand that can't be all that useful to you. So I understand your despair in not being able to find a feminist therapist, and also the despair in trying to talk to people about patriarchy and oppression when their first impulse is to not all men you, which most people do, which is probably why the therapists that you're finding do it. because most people do it. I don't know if you are queer or straight, cis or trans, but I think you might have some success if you try to find a therapist who specializes in queer experiences. People who understand queer experiences and work closely with queer people necessarily have an understanding of the role of the patriarchy in unnecessarily gendering everybody's life experience and oppressing them based on their gender, sexuality, the way that they behave according to a heteronormative family structure or otherwise. That being said, even the queer people I know really struggle to find queer-friendly therapists. So please don't be disheartened if you don't find someone right away. I think it is an area of growth in the area of counseling and psychology that if anybody who's watching this is studying psych or thinking about it, specializing in LGBTIQ plus experiences could be the way to go, because there is going to be a huge demand for it. Also, always verify that your therapist is properly licensed. That's it for Q&A today. Thank you for joining me. Again, as always, I'm putting my donation sticker here. If you like my work, if you want to support it and make it continue, please do think about donating. This account is not an income producing activity for me unless you donate. I mention that because I have had a few people message me and say that they think that I do this for work. I do not. I do this for free unless you donate. So if my work has helped you at some point in the past, or you think it's going to help you in the future, or you would like me to continue doing it into the future, please do think about popping a little donation in there, effectively buying me a coffee.